Hello, everybody. Welcome to Astro Planet. Welcome to the world of astrology. Welcome back. In this clip, I'm going to continue about the subject of all subjects, the Corona crisis, the world event of the century by now. There has new stuff come up, and it's remarkable. It's just remarkable. Difficult to find the right words, really. It's massive, big, awesome, exciting, frightening, maybe. You see, there's a new edge to the story, a new approach to the same thing, and this is about this here, what you see here, this greenish pink point star thing. Because, as it turns out, a comet is coming. A comet is coming, and this is a picture of it. And in this clip, I'm going to talk about this and share my thoughts here with you. But before we get to this, I have to come back to one of my earlier clips and give some additional information on this. So maybe you didn't see it in one clip I did before. I spoke about Beta Geuze, the star that dimmed in light around the end of the year, the beginning of the year, and I talked about this being an omen in the sky, so to say, because it was an extraordinary event. This star, you see, it dropped in light, in brightness. Here you see it's the graph about it. It went down here towards the end of 1920, beginning 20, and it actually had dropped to only 25% of its average magnitude, also its average brightness. This is a really spectacular event, very rare to say the least, and I had spoken about this being connected to Orion and all that. I won't repeat this here, you can watch that clip. But I had connected it to the events that we see now all around the world, and as it turned out, now I found that when SARS came up for the first time in 2002, the original SARS virus that remained in China there, had been stopped from spreading in the early stages. That was in 2002, as I said, and imagine this star Beta Gauss, it was in play as well in those days, because it turned out, you see it here, for November 1st, 2002, that's about the time when the SARS thing then started. And what do we have? We had Saturn on this star Beta Gauss. But not only that, it was the case that Saturn had went into station on this star. So it moved forward, and it's just stopped, and moving backwards again. And the stationary positions of the slow-moving planets, they are extra spotlights, points, so to say, major emphasis on Beta Gauss in this case as well. And I had talked about it being in Gemini, which is connected to the lungs, and also in Orion, it's at the shoulder close to the lungs, and it all makes sense. So remarkable, very remarkable indeed. So this as an addition to that clip before. And now we get to today's story, which is about, as I said, a frightening comet, a strange comet that is this one. This is a picture of it that you get around these days. And the discovery was just around that solar eclipse. It was discovered on December 28th. So the eclipse was on December 26th, so right at that time. And as I also mentioned in this other clip before, comets in history always have been read as omens in the sky, and usually bad omens. And they were even classified or read in terms of shape, the tail, the appearance, the color, and where they appeared in the sky, meaning which constellation and all that stuff. There's plenty of examples for this, and there's even astronomers writing about this, and they making the point that comets have several times been connected with pandemics or plagues or similar illness sort of thing, and they're speculating over the point that there's biomolecules coming with these comets or so and coming down into the atmosphere maybe and making people ill. Personally, I think that's nonsense, but nevertheless, it's even astronomers that have realized or came up with this analogy of comets appearing and illnesses like around 19 Spanish, what you say, Grippe, Spanische Grippe, we say in German, the plague that was around those days. But also maybe completely different example, in 1997 we had Hale Bob as a major event in the sky, and if this is just in short, I guess you all know that that was the year when Princess Diana died, which was quite an event worldwide. Well, I haven't like researched this in depth or so, but only know that this Hale Bob thing was white in color, for example, and may refer to the moon or the princess or similar. It's really the easy way, like a red comet would bring war, and yes, a greenish comet like this, well, what could that be? That, of course, is the color of illness. To put it very short, it is. It's interesting, even the discovery of this comet was made, and the headlines were that it brightened in light very quick, and then it softened a bit, and you could make the point that it's like playing out or performing this flattening the curve thing, because in the beginning it rose in light very fast and then it calmed down a bit, and it just reminds you to the flattening the curve thing that everybody's talking about now with the coronavirus. Okay, now this comet was discovered in the constellation of Ursa Major, the Great Bear. You see the constellation here, and it was actually discovered somewhere down here. You see here in this picture, this is the trajectory, the projected trajectory of this comet through the sky seen from the Earth. You see here around December 30, this was when it was discovered, and here you have the constellation of the Great Bear. So it was discovered here, and then those stars here down here, they are not very bright, and it came across these very bright stars. They called Merak and Dubhe. You see here, this is the back of the big wagon, the große Wagen we say in German, this that everybody knows from the sky. And it has passed by here in the beginning of March. You see this here. Excuse me. And this was just the time, beginning of March, when this lockdown took place, started to happen in Europe, over Europe, Italy and Germany and France and all. And in fact, turns out that especially the star Dubhe is, in the astrology, it is connected to the ability to influence the masses, the mass of people, to, in almost a magical, hypnotical way, so to say. Mass movement, mass psychology. And was the time when we saw this shutdown and lockdown and people locking at home, and quite some people thinking of and talking about this Orwell state and fascist-like conditions, war time atmosphere and all that sort of thing. And guess what? This star Dubhe is prominent in quite some certain people, and I show it to you now. Here, once you see again, this is the star Dubhe. It's in the neck, in the back shoulder of the bear. And guess who has this star prominent in his chart? It was Adolf Hitler. Here it is, Saturn. It's bang on that star. And it's also, it was Mao, the Chinese revolutionary, with the moon right on this spot. So doesn't that make sense with these totalitarian politicians and these vibrations in the world pretty all of a sudden? You can see this in modern times, people that well sympathize with the Hitler kind of worldview. Marine Le Pen, for example, the far-right French politician, she has the sun right on that spot. Well, no surprise, typical thing. So it's remarkable. It gets even more remarkable. Now we hear that in April, this comet is moving through a constellation that is not very well known. Actually, I heard about this for the first time here. And this is a constellation that's called Camelopardis. It's here you see a strange picture of this. This is not one of the classical or very old constellations, but it was made up sort of in like 17th century, put on the star map from some guy. And there's no really bright star. Brightest star there is on magnitude 5 or so, so it's not really well known at all. But the name is referring to a giraffe or a camel, Camelopardis. Leopard because it has spots on it. That's may probably be some other small stars or so. But the main thing here is the camel or giraffe kind of image. And imagine what is a giraffe, or have it be the camel as well, but let's stick with the giraffe. What is this animal, sort of, and what it is all about? Well, the point about the giraffe is that it's mainly a fraud, isn't it? It has a very long neck. And what is everybody busy about these days? It's about the virus that jumps into your neck, isn't it? The whole world is talking fraud, and that kind of thing. It's crazy, it's remarkable. Okay, this is already remarkable enough, but I haven't spoken about the name of this fellow here yet, actually. It does have a name, it goes under the name of Atlas these days. And Atlas is a figure from the myths as well, from the Greek, the traditional, the old myth, and you all know it. It is the guy who carried the world on his shoulders, in simple terms. Now, the story goes that at the end of the world, from the Greek position, so to say, the end of their known world, that's where heaven and earth met, and there was a guy that was holding up the heavens so it wouldn't drop down to the earth, so to say, was carrying the heavens on his shoulders. And that guy, one of the Titans, was called Atlas. And there's several stories about this, but there's the metaphor in, I guess most people know, to carry the world on its shoulders, somebody who is, I don't know, carrying the burden of everybody's problems on his shoulders. And isn't that quite the quality that we experience these days, with this heaviness and burden and of all the world being in trouble and carrying it on its shoulders? It's very much the case, I'd say. Everybody having become this Atlas kind of guy, more or less, these days. It's remarkable. There are several stories around this fellow Atlas with Perseus who tricked him or got in conflict with him, and he made him freeze into rock, this guy Atlas, and therefore became the mountain area that is Morocco, North Morocco, the Atlas Mountains. That were the end of the world in those days to the Greeks. And now the story goes that this guy you see here, at his feet, we had some daughters, and they were called the Hesperides, some group of daughters. And as the myth goes, these daughters, they lived in the garden of the Hesperides, and this garden was beyond the end of the world, so beyond the known end of the world that in the old days was around like the west coast of Europe, so to say. And behind that somewhere there was the garden of the Hesperides, and there was the miracle tree that carried golden apples. And here you have an image, a painting of this wonderful place with these beautiful young ladies being with this tree that would carry golden apples, and they were giving you the eternal youth kind of thing. And now the end of the world in terms of modern, like over the centuries, it was pushed west, as you know, further and further. And nowadays we even have the United States, the New World, and guess what? The city that everybody knows, that city that never sleeps, that's the city of New York. And because this is the modern version of the garden of the Hesperides, this is the reason why this city actually is called Big Apple. Believe it or not, but that's the story. And miraculously as it is, apart from all the strange buildings around here, there's the Central Park, the holy garden, so to say, of this city as a centerpiece, pretty much reminding of this Hesperides garden place kind of thing. Even the Statue of Liberty with the golden flame, you know, maybe it's a symbol of these golden apples. Freedom, eternal use, the paradise, the new paradise. Now, as we hear these days, New York has become ground zero kind of place once more, epicenter of the virus. For the world, for America, maybe all over America will soon be the place of the virus. That would only make sense within this story. So this is only like some thoughts on this. There may be more, and if you have any ideas, or share them in the comments. I only want to make one more point. It only came in this morning. I found this complete, like a bit different edge of this. Turns out that in Iceland there has been 6 in the time from January to now, so in this Comet Atlas time as well, there has been 6,000 minor earthquakes in some area, one peninsula of Iceland, and something like this has never been observed before. 6,000 minor earthquakes in 3 hotspots in this area here, and there may be a volcano preparing to erupt or something like that. Now the irony is, the point is that this just happens where the European plate, the old world, and the Atlantic, the American plate, meet. So another variation of this old world, new world, Atlas, Garden of the Hesperides story kind of thing. Maybe you find this a bit far-fetched, but to my experience it's not. It's making complete sense. So you have an eye on this and see what happens there, what's coming there. I think it's remarkable already. Yes, in short, this is some thoughts on this comet. Now, it is said, as I said, that this comet will get even brighter, although those things are always a bit unsure. But it is said that during April, beginning May, it may be visible with the naked eye or so, and we'll see. And we hope we don't get. As astrologers, we hope that it won't get too bright, instead of what all those silly astronomers say. Oh, it's exciting, let's have it bright and brighter, because this is no good. This is no good. It only brings trouble. So let's hope for the best. And yes, I hope you find that interesting, and join the channel, share the video, and see you next time.